Imagine waking up tomorrow with total authority over everything you say, every emotion you experience, every dollar you choose to spend, and every thought that enters your mind. It sounds unrealistic, maybe even impossible, but more than 2,000 years ago, there was a man who believed this kind of control wasn't a fantasy. He believed it was the foundation of true freedom. His name was Epictetus, and he was born a slave. Pause and really consider that. He didn't own his body. He couldn't decide where he would go. He had no control over his external circumstances. His life was under the command of someone else. And yet, despite having no external freedom, he discovered something far more powerful than physical liberty. He discovered inner authority. He realized that while the outside world could restrict his body, it could never dominate his mind unless he allowed it. He taught a truth that still echoes today. Your real power lives in your response. You may not control every event. You may not prevent hardship, loss, disrespect, or difficulty, but you always control how you interpret it, how you react to it, and who you become because of it. This is where freedom begins. Most people today are not slaves in chains, but many are still prisoners in a different way. They are controlled by their impulses. They speak without thinking and regret it later. They allow emotions to dictate their actions. They spend money seeking comfort instead of building stability. They let fear, anxiety, and doubt take control of their thoughts. Their environment does not imprison them. Their lack of self-mastery does. But here is the empowering truth. The same wisdom that allowed a man born in slavery to become one of history's greatest teachers can also transform your life. The areas where you feel weakest can become the areas where you become strongest. The Stoics understood something modern society often forgets. True wealth is not measured by what you own, but by what you can control within yourself. True strength is not found in controlling others, but in governing your own impulses. And true freedom is not the ability to do anything you want, but the discipline to choose what is right, even when it is difficult. Life constantly gives you opportunities to practice this. Someone disrespects you. That is your moment to control your reaction. You feel the urge to buy something for instant pleasure. That is your moment to exercise discipline. Your mind begins to create stories of fear, insecurity, or doubt. That is your moment to reclaim authority over your thinking. Every moment becomes a test, and every test becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, reminded himself daily of this responsibility. Despite holding immense external power, he knew the greatest battle was internal. He understood that mastering the mind was the ultimate victory. This journey is not about becoming cold or emotionless. It is about becoming stable. It is about developing a mind that remains steady even when life becomes unpredictable. When you learn to control your words, you speak with purpose instead of impulse. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you stop being controlled by temporary feelings. When you learn to manage your money, you build security instead of stress. And when you learn to direct your mind, you stop being a passenger in your own life and become its architect. In the next few minutes, you will discover the 4 essential pillars of inner power. These principles have shaped resilient minds for centuries, and they remain just as powerful today, but understanding them is only the beginning. Transformation happens through commitment. So stay present, listen closely, reflect deeply, because the moment you begin mastering your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind is the moment you begin mastering your life. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. That idea, often echoed in the writings of Seneca, applies powerfully to something most people overlook: your words. Each time you speak, you close the door on one version of yourself and step into another. The real question is this: are your words shaping someone you admire or someone you regret? Think about the last time anger spoke faster than wisdom. The words came out, silence followed, and then came regret. In that brief moment, You experienced what it feels like to lose command of your speech. Your tongue moved before your judgment had a chance to intervene. Now imagine reversing that pattern. Imagine if every word passed through intention before reaching the air, not suppressed. Not artificial, but chosen. The Stoics practiced something deceptively simple, the deliberate pause. Before responding, especially in moments charged with emotion, they would slow themselves down and examine their impulse. They would mentally filter their response through 3 quiet reflections. Is it accurate? Is it constructive? Is it necessary? If the answer failed the test, silence became strength. But mastering speech is not only about restraint, it is equally about deliberate creation. When you sincerely acknowledge someone's effort, you sharpen your ability to see goodness. When you offer encouragement, you train your mind to detect opportunity instead of obstacles. When you speak gratitude aloud, you reinforce it within. In his private reflections, Marcus Aurelius compared the disciplined mind to a rocky shoreline standing firm against relentless waves. The waters crash, but the rock remains steady. Your speech can become that rock. In a world addicted to reaction, measured words feel rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. Here is a practical discipline you can begin immediately. For the next 7 days, in any emotionally tense situation, pause and take 3 slow breaths before speaking. On the first breath, identify your emotion. On the second, consider the other person's possible emotion. On the third, choose the response that serves clarity rather than ego. You will be surprised how quickly your relationships shift. People instinctively trust those who speak with intention. They lean in closer. They take your words seriously, not because you are louder, but because you are deliberate. This is not manipulation. It is alignment. And perhaps the most profound transformation happens internally. Every time you honor a verbal commitment, you strengthen your integrity. Every time you refuse gossip, you protect your mental energy. Every time you speak to yourself with respect, you rewire your identity. Words are not just expressions of thought, they are architects of thought. Speak possibility repeatedly, and your mind begins scanning for opportunity. Speak gratitude consistently, and your perception shifts toward abundance. Speak wisdom often enough, and eventually your thinking follows. You become what you repeatedly declare. Your mouth is the bridge between your inner world and the outer world. Master that bridge, and you regulate the traffic in both directions. Affirm this: I speak with intention, not impulse. Number 2, master your mood, your inner climate. Imagine waking up each morning and handing someone else control of the emotional weather inside your mind. Some days they dial up irritation, other days heaviness. Occasionally, if circumstances align, they grant you sunshine. This is how many people live, emotionally outsourced. But the Stoics discovered something revolutionary. Your emotions are not dictators, they are signals, and signals can be interpreted. Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps, uncovered a truth that mirrors Stoic philosophy. He observed that between what happens to us and how we respond, there exists a gap. In that gap lies freedom. Pause for a moment and notice that space within you right now. Between an event and your emotional reaction, there is a fraction of a second, sometimes microscopic, where choice lives. Most people never notice it. The disciplined mind trains to expand it. The Stoics referred to this as the discipline of perception. It does not mean suppressing feeling. It means examining interpretation. Here is a reality most people never question. Emotions feel factual, but they are interpretations layered onto events. If someone fails to respond to your message, the event itself is neutral. Your mind writes the narrative. They're ignoring me. They're upset. They don't care. But those are stories. What if the alternative story is equally possible? They are busy. Their battery died. They are distracted. They are planning something thoughtful. The external event remains unchanged. Only the interpretation shifts, and with it, your emotional climate. When you understand this, your mood stops being a storm you endure and becomes an instrument you tune. You stop reacting automatically. You start responding intentionally, and slowly your inner weather stabilizes. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become steadier. Here is your fully rewritten original cinematic English version, preserving the meaning while eliminating any risk of plagiarism and maintaining the Stoic, powerful tone. Marcus Aurelius practiced this discipline relentlessly. He reminded himself of a truth that grounded him. You may not control what happens around you, but you always retain authority over what happens within you. And in that realization, strength is born. Each morning, he prepared his mind in advance. He expected inconvenience. He expected misunderstanding. He expected difficulty, not because he was pessimistic, but because he was prepared. He saw every challenge not as an interruption, but as training. Every difficult person became an opportunity to practice patience. Every obstacle became an opportunity to practice steadiness. You can apply this same discipline right now. Think of a situation that has been disturbing your peace recently. Now pause and ask yourself, what meaning have I assigned to this event? What assumptions have I made? Then ask a second question. Is there another interpretation that is equally possible? Finally, ask yourself, which perspective strengthens me instead of weakening me? This is where your power lives, because the emotional experience you carry is not created by the event itself. It is created by the story you attach to it. And once you realize that, everything changes. You stop being a passive character in your emotional life. You become its author. But emotional mastery does not mean denying your feelings or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing responses that move you forward instead of holding you back. Anger, when understood, becomes energy for constructive action. Sadness, when accepted, deepens your empathy. Fear, when examined, sharpens your awareness. Emotions become signals, not commands. The Stoics practiced a ritual of reflection at the end of each day. They would sit quietly and review their inner world. Where did I remain calm? Where did I lose control? Where can I improve tomorrow? Not with judgment, with responsibility. As you begin practicing this, something remarkable happens. You stop fearing your emotions because you trust your ability to face them. You stop avoiding difficult conversations because you trust your ability to remain steady. You become a source of calm in environments dominated by chaos, and people notice because emotional stability is rare. Remember this, your emotions provide information, but they do not deserve authority over your decisions. Anger reveals importance. Fear reveals uncertainty. Sadness reveals attachment. But your choices remain yours. Your mood is like an internal climate, and just like climate, it can be observed, understood, and gradually influenced. Affirm this. I command my emotional state. It does not command me. Number 3, master your money. The instrument of freedom, money reveals discipline more clearly than almost anything else, because money represents something deeper than numbers. It represents your time, your effort, your life energy converted into form. And how you direct it determines whether you build independence or dependence. Seneca, one of Rome's most influential thinkers, possessed immense wealth. Yet he warned that poverty is not defined by having little. It is defined by constantly needing more. Despite his resources, he deliberately practiced simplicity. He would occasionally sleep without comfort, eat modest meals, remove luxury from his routine, not because he lacked access, but because he refused to become dependent. He trained himself to remain free under any condition. Here is the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. If your impulses control your spending, they control your future. Every financial decision strengthens either discipline or dependency. There is no neutral direction, But mastering money does not mean rejecting enjoyment or living in deprivation. It means spending with awareness. When you use money to create meaning, growth, or stability, you are in control. When you use money to escape discomfort, impress others, or fill emotional voids, control has shifted away from you. Money itself is neutral. Your relationship with it determines whether it becomes a tool or a master. Think about the last unnecessary purchase you made. Pause and ask yourself honestly, what was I truly seeking? Was it the object itself, or was it relief, validation, distraction, excitement? Often, the purchase is not about the item, it is about the emotion behind it. Here is a powerful discipline you can begin immediately. Before any non-essential purchase, pause. Ask yourself, what internal state am I trying to change right now? Then ask, is there another way to create that state without spending anything? You will often discover that the urge disappears once awareness appears, but true financial mastery goes beyond restraint. It includes creation. The Stoics believed your effort should contribute value to the world around you. When your focus shifts toward contribution, money naturally follows as a consequence, not an obsession. This transforms your entire relationship with earning and spending. Money stops being something you chase. It becomes something you attract through usefulness. And in that shift, you regain freedom. I rise each day to do the work of a human being. That mindset, reflected in the writings of Marcus Aurelius, transforms everything. When you stop seeing your work as merely a paycheck and start seeing it as contribution, something shifts internally. Effort becomes excellence. Excellence becomes reputation. Reputation becomes opportunity. And financial reward becomes a consequence, not the objective. The turning point in my own financial awareness came from something simple. I stopped tracking only numbers. I started tracking emotions. After each non-essential purchase, I wrote down 3 things: what I bought, why I bought it, how I felt 24 hours later. The pattern was undeniable. The purchases aligned with growth, connection, or service brought lasting satisfaction. Books that sharpened my thinking, experiences that deepened relationships, tools that increased my ability to create value. But impulse spending, status-driven decisions, emotionally reactive purchases, they consistently produced emptiness, sometimes even regret. That clarity was more powerful than any budgeting system. It revealed that money is not the real issue. Awareness is. True financial discipline also requires understanding the difference between consumption and construction. Some expenses maintain your ability to earn, some expand your ability to serve, others quietly weaken both. When you begin filtering decisions through that lens, wealth stops being accidental. It becomes intentional. The purpose of mastering money is not accumulation for ego. It is freedom. Freedom to be generous. Freedom to say no. Freedom to choose integrity over desperation. Freedom to act from principle rather than pressure. That is financial sovereignty. Number 4, master your mind, the command center. If your mouth is the gateway and your mood is the climate, your mind is the control tower. Everything begins there. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every thought you entertain is a seed. Some seeds grow into resilience, others grow into anxiety, some produce clarity, others produce chaos. The harvest is never accidental. Right now, countless thoughts compete for your attention. Memories from yesterday, predictions about tomorrow, judgments about yourself, narratives about others. Most people drift through this mental noise as if they have no authority over it, but they do. Epictetus taught that wealth is not defined by possessions, but by limiting unnecessary desires. That principle applies mentally as much as materially. When you stop giving energy to every passing thought, you become rich in focus, rich in calm, rich in clarity. You wouldn't allow strangers to walk into your home and rearrange your furniture. Yet many people allow random thoughts to enter their minds and rearrange their entire emotional state. One unchecked thought can alter the direction of an entire day. The Stoics practiced what they called disciplined attention, a constant awareness of the present moment and careful examination of mental impressions. Not passive thinking, active supervision, like a guard stationed at the gate of your consciousness. Every thought requests entry. You decide which ones stay. Here is a practice you can apply immediately. When you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, pause and ask, is this thought constructive? Is it aligned with who I want to become? If the answer is no, consciously replace it with a thought that directs you toward growth, not blind optimism, productive framing. Instead of thinking, this is a disaster, shift to, this is difficult. What is the most effective response? The situation remains unchanged, but your internal position transforms completely. Marcus Aurelius once reflected that life itself is shaped by the nature of our thoughts. He governed an empire filled with conflict, betrayal, illness, and war. Yet he understood that his ultimate sovereignty existed within. Your mind constantly narrates your experience. Someone avoids eye contact. Your mind invents rejection. Traffic slows. Your mind predicts catastrophe. A meeting is scheduled. Your mind anticipates trouble. But those are interpretations, not facts. And interpretations can be rewritten. The person who didn't smile may be carrying private burdens. Traffic may be an opportunity for reflection or learning. That meeting may open a new door. The Stoics trained themselves to separate raw facts from the meanings assigned to them. Rain is a fact. This rain ruined everything is a story. When you learn to make that distinction, your emotional stability increases dramatically. Try this now. Take one stressful situation in your life. Write down the objective facts, only what is undeniably true. Then write down the narrative you have layered onto those facts. Notice how much of your distress comes not from reality, but from interpretation. Your mind is not designed only for worry. It is designed for solution. Instead of letting it replay fears, give it direction. Ask better questions. What is within my control here? What action would move me forward? What can I learn from this? The mind responds to commands. And when you begin directing it intentionally, everything changes. Because the final level of freedom is this: not controlling the world, not controlling people, but governing your own internal kingdom. Master your mouth, master your mood, master your money, master your mind, and you master your life. Instead of asking yourself, what if everything falls apart? Ask a better question. What is the strongest response I can choose right now? Your mind is not your enemy. It is your greatest instrument. But like any powerful instrument, it requires direction. Left unattended, it creates fear. Guided with intention, it creates strength. Every thought you entertain is shaping your identity. You are not just living your life, you are constructing yourself, moment by moment, thought by thought. Affirm this now: I am the architect of my mind. Number 5, the ripple effect to how mastery reshapes your entire life. Something remarkable begins to happen when you develop control over your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. The transformation does not remain isolated. It spreads. Like a stone dropped into still water, the effects expand outward into every area of your existence. These pillars do not operate independently. They reinforce each other. When your speech becomes intentional, people trust you more deeply. Your words carry clarity instead of chaos. When your emotional state becomes stable, you become a source of calm in environments where others lose balance. When your financial decisions align with discipline, fear loses its grip on your future. And when your thoughts become directed rather than scattered, opportunities become visible where others see only obstacles. But the most profound changes occur in the invisible connections between these areas, because mastery in one area strengthens mastery in all the others. Consider someone overwhelmed by pressure, uncertainty, and self-doubt. At first, everything feels out of control, but they begin with something small. They pause before reacting. They observe instead of impulsively responding. They make one disciplined decision, then another, and gradually momentum builds. Confidence grows. Clarity replaces confusion. Psychologists describe this as an upward spiral. Each small victory strengthens your belief in your ability to handle the next challenge. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology existed. Aristotle observed that identity is not formed by isolated actions, but by repeated behavior. Excellence is not a single act, it is a pattern. Every day you practice discipline, you reinforce the person you are becoming. And over time, that person becomes unrecognizable from who you once were. Think about who you were 6 months ago, the fears you carried, the habits you struggled with, the doubts that felt permanent. Now imagine who you could become 6 months from now if you begin today, not through perfection, through consistency. The distance between those two versions of you is not measured in talent, it is measured in daily decisions. Understand this clearly. You do not need to master everything at once. Choose one area, focus there. Let progress in that area strengthen the others naturally. The Stoics used the concept of sympatheia, the understanding that everything is connected. When you strengthen yourself internally, your external world begins to reorganize itself accordingly. Your discipline improves your relationships. Your emotional stability improves your leadership. Your mental clarity improves your decisions. Your financial discipline improves your freedom. But perhaps the most powerful transformation is this: difficulty stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like training. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice. Every frustration becomes a chance to strengthen patience. Every uncertainty becomes a chance to strengthen courage. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "How can this strengthen me?" That shift alone changes everything. Affirm this: every challenge strengthens me. We began with the story of Epictetus, a man who lived in physical bondage but discovered internal freedom. His power did not come from changing his environment. It came from mastering himself within it. Today, you face the same decision. Freedom is not found in unlimited options. It is found in disciplined choices. Your mouth shapes your relationships. Your mood shapes your experience. Your money shapes your independence. Your mind shapes your reality. These are not separate battles. They are one. This journey is not about becoming flawless. It is about becoming conscious. Each time you pause before speaking, you strengthen awareness. Each time you choose your emotional response, you strengthen stability. Each time you spend with intention, you strengthen independence. Each time you direct your thoughts, you strengthen sovereignty. The ancient Stoics endured war, loss, illness, and uncertainty, but they possessed something unbreakable: internal command. And that same power is available to you. Your transformation does not begin with external change. It begins with a decision. The decision to stop living on autopilot. The decision to take ownership of your internal world. Not because it is easy, not because it is fair, but because it is necessary. 6 months from now, one of two realities will exist. You will either remain where you are, or you will become someone stronger, calmer, clearer, and freer. That outcome will not be decided by luck. It will be decided by your daily choices. Remember the wisdom of Epictetus. Your inner world cannot be harmed without your consent. Today, withdraw that consent. Today, step out of reaction and into intention. Today, begin. The 4 pillars are in front of you. Your future self is waiting. And the first step is yours to take. Affirm this now. Today, I choose discipline over distraction. I choose intention over impulse. I choose mastery over mediocrity. I choose freedom over limitation. Your journey begins now.